Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Market Mindset. Today, we're going to talk about a few fun kind of things. The lead kind of story is this notion that no, Stellantis is not going bankrupt. Now, this is a little bit old, a few days old here, and it's no real surprise to anyone, but it gives me kind of leverage to talk about why critical metals are still vital. Battery metals are still vital, even if sales are down, even if supply chains are being pushed and stressed. But this gives a good launching pad to talk about not just Stellantis, because Stellantis being a huge automotive company, but to give a sense of this space that has slowed down. I mean, we've seen Tesla, or whether it's Stellantis, the rise of a lot of the Chinese EVs. But this Stellantis, if you're not sure of, that was a merger back in 2021 of Fiat Chrysler and Group PSA. So European conglomerate at this point. The U.S. brands that you're going to be very familiar with are, like Jeep, Ram, Dodge, Chrysler, Mopar, SRT, the performance division of Dodge and Jeep, and then of course Peugeot, Citroën, Vauxhall, Alfa Romeo, Fiat, Maserati. All of these are the brands that they have. 190 billion US dollars in annual revenue. They sell about 6.2 million vehicles a year, and I saw a bunch of these articles about Stellantis going out of business, and I thought, this is crazy. And of course, you realize it's clickbait. No, they're not. It was one of their suppliers, and it's actually a KKR funded group called Morelli, and we'll get into that in a moment here. But they're facing issues because there is a strong pushback on demand pretty much everywhere, other than to a large extent China. Because why? Well, they have a chokehold on creating very cheap, effective, electric vehicles for all the reasons why you think. But most importantly, they control that supply chain of getting the metals, processing them, having battery manufacturing plants, and they can produce them and even ship them at cheaper costs. They also don't have to really worry too much about labor costs and all those other things as well, which the West has to deal with. Nor do they have to worry about lawsuits or environmental groups or special interest groups fighting about things. They have all of those bonus factors that if you're just a pure capitalist money person, you would look and go, wow, they've got a great model. Not so great for the people, but as far as producing things, that kind of semi-planned economy works well. And the West tried to do that to some extent. They tried to force it. And listen, I like EVs. I've got nothing problem with it. I think my stance is I prefer a hybrid. I think it gives us a lot more flexibility. It introduces everyone. It's a great way to move into a transition. Tough to go, let's build hybrid plants and then we'll go build EV plants. It kind of has to happen at the same time. And sure, will the fully electric market get hit for a little while? Yeah. They tried to force something that the market didn't want, and it backfired. And the reason why you could tell that is because the market's telling you, and the cost of everything is exceptionally high. Now, once again, I'm not trying to upset people that have an ideological point of view that we should all be driving EVs and whatnot. We can't anyway. A lot of these don't work very efficiently or very effectively in the cold, like say Alberta may not be the optimum place for it. But yeah, there's lots of places where it could be and should be used. And like all reasonable people, and I think more people are becoming a bit more reasonable, is that it's just one of the tools in the tool belt. But a hybrid does a great job of matching that much cleaner approach to things, and not overcommitting to this idea that just because WF, UN, and a bunch of progressive countries decided that they were going to force a mandate down, that everyone would just simply adopt it. And that's the problem when you don't go full authoritarian. If you just kind of push a planned economy, but you still allow democracy, the people sometimes say, we can't afford this. You have mistimed your plan. You didn't take into account, you don't have processing of any of these metals. You don't have the plants. You don't even have a lot of the battery plants up and running yet. So one could criticize many, many things, and we have in the past, but we're not really here to do that today. We're not here to talk about the failures of the larger plan. It's hard to coordinate all of those things all together, even if it was the right thing to do. The market's going to tell you, and that's the way the West has been built. It's the most effective way to create things is to allow entrepreneurship, technology to evolve, people that want to work, like the Elon Musk, who want to work 16 hours a day. Let them. Those that go, it's not really for me. They don't have to live like that. You shouldn't have to. But let those people who want to drive forward and their life is technology and creation and doing these things, they're on this planet for a reason, and we should encourage them, celebrate them for what they're doing. And once again, we talk about mindset things quite a bit. Is you don't have to respect an entrepreneur or a billionaire other than for the fact that they have good ability to moderate things, to manage things, to delegate things. There's lots of great qualities they have as far as business goes that you may not like as a human being, nor should you. We don't have to like their political points of view, their thoughts on healthcare, on this, that. We're in such a weird period of time now when everyone has the exposure to so much content that people think that you have to be on team Elon or team Gates or team Bezos. No, you shouldn't be. You should just look at what they say and go, I respect them for that part. They really understand it. But no, I have no consideration for their thoughts on how to play basketball. Or I think I'll go to the people there that are excellent at that. I should go look at LeBron James and go, or look up Michael Jordan and go, hey, what should I be looking for if I want to understand basketball? You go to the people that are experts in that, because they've proven they're experts, not because the TV or YouTube has told you that this expert says this. Go look and see how they performed. And this matters because I want to kind of tie this into, I did a quick little search, and there's like 19 articles over the last few years, YouTube, blogs, articles, and all that, that have claimed Stellantis going bankrupt. Of course, it's not going bankrupt. It isn't. And this story wasn't even about Stellantis going bankrupt. It was this Morelli. And it's a sad commentary on the state of, and this would be your alternative media, which I would fall into, try to create clickbait or very, entertainment content in order to engage people. And I don't I understand when people are trying to drive views and maybe they're making a living off of their YouTube ads or whatnot. That's certainly not our channel. You need to try to get people to entice them to watch. I'm really sick of it, to be perfectly honest. That's why we wanted to put something fun as a headline, but we put no. It's not going bankrupt, because then you can decide, well, do I want to watch this? They've already told me that no, it's not. And we'll go into a bit of detail as to what the key context of this is. That it's this sensationalization of everything. I think it's wearing on people. It's tiring, and I don't think it's going away anytime soon. But if we get more voices of reason that are out there kind of saying, no, let's pull us back into the middle. What's reality here? What's the truth here? And the issue is that what actually happened is Morelli, and they are a tier 1 auto parts supplier for Nissan as well as Tesla. They did file for Chapter 11 on June 10th, 2025. But it's a debt workout. It's not liquidation. It's not, hey, that we're completely done. It's a $5 billion restructuring backed by over 80% of its lenders, with about $1.1 billion in fresh financing to keep operations running. Now, once again, this was KKR, which we'll go into a bit maybe on my Substack. If you remember, there was a movie called Barbarians at the Gate back in 1990, and it was around that kind of late 80s Wall Street kind of movies, glamorizing your M&A and leverage buyouts and whatnot. And it was a semi-true story, fictionalized story about the takeover of Nabisco, which was the biggest leverage buyout of the time. Fun movie. It's really worth watching. It's really interesting to see how corporate raiders, how these investment bankers and M&A people work during that period of time. Very interesting movie. KKR was one of the key investment banks or funds, or what do you want to call players then, and they're still around. So they know what they're doing. I mean, for them, $5 billion $5 billion of restructuring debt, not a big deal. I mean, they are leveraged buyout kings. They know everything about it, amongst other things. But this is a big casualty, though. So it is a serious thing, but it is the Stellantis, and it is a major casualty of this kind of forced transition. And listen, everyone can play are like an armchair, quarterback, and I come off definitely sounding like that sometimes. It's not an easy job to try to push. Which do you push first? Like, do you have to invest in the infrastructure first, or do you have to convince the people to buy the products first? I understand the idea of the auto parts and the auto sector in the West is a key driver of the economy. It truly is. So if you could convince people to buy these EVs, then yes, you could follow up quickly with the charging stations and whatnot. So that idea makes complete sense to me. That you would want to firm that up, get a sense of the trajectory and the growth, and you could match out building out the infrastructure at the same time. It just didn't work out that way. And that's a tough thing to pull off. And there's plenty of reasons, which I mentioned before, around that. And a lot of it, it does come down to the incredible logistics involved in all of this. It's dizzying to try to think of, you've got copper out of a mine in Chile or Peru. It's being sent somewhere else to be processed. It's then being, the sulfides are being sent off to China to be processed another way, or maybe used finally in some other electrical capacity into a part that we need in XYZ, which is then sent back to the US on ships. It just, you go, how do we make money doing this? It shows how one could make the margins out of these things, but it really highlights the fact that we need to get away from that model of shipping things all over the globe to maximize pennies and maybe eat up some cost and build up our own countries to give a bit of breathing room. Because not only that is, if you are concerned about emissions and whatnot, all these freighters, there are people working on solutions for that. But I think it was certainly years ago, and it's probably not the case anymore. But I remember The Economist had an article, kind of pointing out that there was 15 not oil tankers, but 15 tankers, super tankers that use bunker fuel that were responsible for a significant portion of emissions compared to cars. Like, it was significant, just 15 of them. And you go, well, if you're worried about the environment, wouldn't you be targeting those 15 first? Once again, maybe they don't know. But this is how difficult this entire movement is, because you've blended in ideology, politics, beliefs, some science and some legitimate science, and with other ideologies. And it's tough to manage all of that. Never mind then manage. Do you hope that everyone's just going to get along? We've currently proven that isn't the case. As soon as there was hiccups, in supply chains, and then of course with lockdowns, a lot of these cards started to fold, and the EV dream is still alive. I think this electric future is possible still. We're certainly going a certain direction as far as technology of getting cleaner, but I think we've pulled back to more of a reasonable approach to understanding that if you're calling this a transition, which it really wasn't, it was a forced planned economy approach. We're going to hit you with a sledgehammer. If we actually look at this as being a transition and go, listen, we're trying to bring down emissions in a certain way, and we should unleash the West, which is known for creating technology, to work on the technology to be able to implement elsewhere. We should be doing that. We should be having our best and brightest, smartest working all the time, and reward them for it. To find the solutions while we're going through this period of time. And the market realities of Morelli's downfall is that it's just a feedback loop. A lot of bureaucrats were told to build EVs. Automakers were told that they have to tool up and change. They just assumed that deal flow and demand would be there. I think a lot just assumed that the raw ingredients were there. Because once again, mining isn't really in the news a lot. It's only been the last few years that the mainstream news has even wanted to talk about critical metals. It's been kind of, lithium for a little while and whatnot. And the money's not flowing into mining as it should. And once again, we talk about that often. I don't blame them. I mean, it's not exactly the most glamorous world to be involved in. It's there's a lot of issues there with it. But what we want to see here is, let me just bring up some of my notes here in regards to some final thoughts. This isn't just about a warning from one company, like a shot in the dark. It's just saying, listen, if you want this to work, there should be a bit more attention to the entire supply chain of how you're going to get all these materials. Now, of course, no one expected the massive inflation that we had after lockdowns. That's made creating these new battery plants, these new chip factories, to build them out becomes so much more expensive. And that's for everything. I mean, the cost of paying people to work on specialty niche projects, it's very high. And rightfully so. I mean, it costs a ton to live right now. The cost of everything has gone up. And, we were kind of, even though we were once, yelling and screaming out there about the problem with just wind and solar, being, of course, the amount of land it uses, the transmissions line needed, the intermittency, the lack of energy density. The top ends were preaching that was the solution for everything, which it isn't. And we're not there yet. Could it be? Maybe. Yeah, sure. But I mean, having the could it be maybe conversation is kind of like saying, will Elon be on Mars in a decade? I don't think so. But yeah, we can talk about it. It's trying to formulate this hype, this utopian vision of the world, and then what's actually realistic. And unfortunately, the realistic, logistics, engineering, science-backed stuff, it's not as interesting. It really isn't. People aren't that moved by it. They're moved by the thought of having robots in their house as a butler, having flying taxis that are autonomous, Elon traveling to Mars if he wants. I have no interest. And those are highly unlikely, or possibly within a decade, maybe, type of scenarios. But they're fun. It's fun to talk about. But just imagine the cost of trying to achieve any of that, if we are having the cost associated with just building out EV plants. And never mind that the cost of building out all the mines we're going to need, all the processing plants we're going to need, and it's getting done. So, I mean, the good news is that it's getting done. And, there's a reason why, and I like to kind of throw in there, when we're kind of tying all these things together, is there's a reason why all these billionaires are interested in nuclear. Those tech titans, they're all over for them and their data storage and their AI. They're all looking for baseline power 24/7. They can't have intermittency. And yeah, people say, well, you can store it in a battery and whatnot. Well, if they're in that space, and that's not what they want to favor. They want nuclear. And they're not saying they want nuclear for the whole country. They're saying we want it for our data storage. We want it for our AIs. We want it in our systems. And I'd said, years ago, that it's unlikely that any policy is going to drive any of this change. It has to be, these types, the tech billionaires, the people with the power and the money that just say, we're going to do this. And it doesn't have to be on all U.S. land. It doesn't have to be for the entire state or for the federation or the country. But we need to have it on our land and get a special policy for us. And whether or not it'll happen exactly like that, we'll see. But we're certainly seeing that they're basically saying, we're going this direction, and we're going to get it done. And they're either notorious for doing that, or it's one of the things that we touched on as well about technology, which is their kind of motto is you do it at scale, so that when someone tries to stop you, they can't. You can't do that in mining. You can't just, if you find something in technology, they can ramp it up so fast and it gets funded like the next day. Hundreds of millions, 100 billion can be raised if you've got something that's exciting. That and take AI, for example, the ethics and the morality, and should we do that? That'll happen in line with it. It's not going to happen separately to go, oh, let's set up a study to do this and this. No. They're going to go ahead and do it. And that's a good thing sometimes, but you need to have some brakes on. And it's also a concerning thing. Unfortunately, the likes of mining and the processing, which doesn't get as much glamour and certainly doesn't get the funding, they can't just simply go ahead. They're going to have every special interest group who wants to get paid and makes a living off of either protesting or or has special interest in a project, or is paid by an oil company in order to, or a nuclear company, or whatever. I mean, this happens in this space all the time. We need to unwind some of this a little bit and make this pathway towards getting these EVs down in price as fast as possible. And there is a way. There certainly is a chance to do that. And if we secure supply, we invest in mining, and we invest in the processing, which we're seeing to a small extent, then that dream has life. And that isn't that far off in the future. We're seeing some good push here in Canada. It's kind of up in the air still. We'll see. I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful. And then the US, whether you like it or not, there's lots to like and there's lots to dislike. They are moving forward saying that we want to be a powerhouse. And I think everyone that watches this channel kind of thinks that Canada should be a powerhouse. There's no reason why we shouldn't. Those that don't, which is, I would say, half the population or more, they wouldn't be interested in this conversation anyway. So I'm not really trying to reach them. I'm not trying to convince them either. I would just want that those that see that this is going to take a lot of work and it's going to take a lot of investment to not get caught up on the negative speculative content as well. Like when you see this Stellantis going bankrupt, it's not going bankrupt. And it's highly unlikely it would be allowed to. They would support it. These are major brands that are loved. And, as people know, the auto sector does drive a lot of the entire economy, even though, once again, it may not be as glamorous as others like tech. Everyone wants to invest in tech. But you can see amazing work that they've done. And not just the EVs, but the hybrids is incredible. And, also there's nothing wrong with that either. People go, oh, I want to have just my diesel truck. Like, well, yeah, listen, but if you could get something that was just as powerful, or maybe slightly less, or maybe more, and we could get the price down and it was just cleaner, would that be interesting? I think so. I think a case could be made for it, but you have to make the case and you have to make it attractive rather than we're going to force you, which is what Canada's trying to do. We're going to mandate that you can't have these types of cars, and that becomes scary to people, and you get a big pushback because people don't even though it makes sense. It's kind of like when you see the paying with your phone or your cards, and all, people go, oh, it's a digital economy, I want to still use cash. I barely use cash. I mean, I like the idea of it, but and they go, well, you're going to be traced in everything you do. And it's like, well, we are being traced in everything we do. It just is. That's just the way things are going. I don't love it. I don't like it, but it makes things more efficient. And really, I'm not that interesting that, tracking my spending habits really matters. No one cares. They're looking for specific things. They're not spending time to look at what Andrew's up to as much as, it's very, very self-important to think, oh, they're watching me. It's like, no, they're not. They don't care. They don't care. And it'll be the same thing with cars, is that, yes, it's a bit scary to go, we're only going to rely on this type of system, of this type of car. And it does kind of suck that it takes away the fact that you can work on your car a lot by yourself. It's going to become a lot more algorithm and a lot more computer based to be able to work on a car. And that takes some freedom away from people. But the population is changing to a large degree as well. Whereas a lot of people just view it as, listen, it's just transportation. And if I had my own car that was kind of like a Tesla, like I consider it more of a robot that's just delivering me to places, and then I could also rent it out, like what they're doing with these kind of robo taxis, is that I own it, it drives me to work, and then I rent it out for the rest of the day. It drives around, picks people up, and drives them. And it's making money for me. That sounds cool. That's kind of wild. Could you own your own thing that you drive around to dirt roads? After, yeah, sure. So I think it's just a matter of how they position and they approach this. But we're going to go through years. It's not simple because not only the conflict, and those conflicts are real. They're ones that have been, I feel, almost discounted to a large extent, that this kumbaya, why can't we all get along? There has to be a realization by all sides that, yes, trade is one of the best ways to simmer populations down and ideologies down. But at the same time, you cannot just trust that someone with polar opposite beliefs to you, that you're going to hand them over to the keys to all energy, or the keys to all processing, or the keys to all mining. It doesn't make any sense. That's a bad strategy. You should have it that, yes, maybe you have a bit more over here on the processing, but maybe they've got a bit more on the technology over here. That means that there is some balance and back and forth and respect. If one person just turns around and says, we control all the processing, you can't even make your missile guidance systems. You can't make your drones. You can't make any of your stuff. You're not in a battle. You're behind the 8 ball. And that isn't negotiating. That's something else. So we've covered a ton of stuff. And what I did want to kind of cover here as well before we hit this 30-minute mark is, wow, silver. We haven't talked as much about the silver lately, but the last month, amazing. It's been doing outstandingly well. And we'd like to come back to the gold and silver because that's it. That's our foundation, our course, place to grow from. And it has been for years. And it, right from the start said, well, why would I want to sit in a money market fund? Like, getting, 0.2% while inflation was 8, you're losing money all day long. So we chose that floor of gold and silver. It's done us very well. It shouldn't be getting these kind of returns. Gold and silver should just be, maintaining your wealth. And it really is at the end of the day, but it looks like, if you look at a chart, like, oh my God, we've gone from here to here. And people think, oh, that's a great rate of return. Really isn't. It's just showing that's how much depreciation there's been in the West. It's been massive. It's been challenging, and that's not going away. And that's interesting because Citibank, I believe, has stated that they think that gold could go under 3,000 in 2026. They're the only one, though. They're the only one. I think that's a bold prediction. The likes of Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, they're saying there's still a case for 4,000. I don't see any scenario in which by 2026 that the debt issues are solved, that the economy is that amazing, that everything in the world is bright and happy and good, that allows for that drop in your precious metals. But hey, listen, that's just my perspective, my point of view. I think there's a lot of work that has to be done. And once again, whether you like plan A, plan B, tariffs, no tariffs, whatever it happens to be, I don't see the case that there's that stability happening in 6 months, a year. There's a lot of work. So we're taking the stance that always be optimistic and hopeful. Look for the good. There's lots of bad, but look for the good. Focus on the good. And certainly here in Canada is that if we can get a little relief and we can get our energy up and going, we can get funding, we can entice other countries to say, listen, we want to invest in you. We want to invest in Canada instead of just all of it going to the US. Then like they'll take off a ton of burden. Now I know a lot of people say Andrew's exceptionally naive because we've dug ourselves into a massive hole that's very tough to get out of. But that's a conversation that involves politics that I don't want to even get into. But the economy in Canada is the least productive. But at least I would say that the hope being is that you have someone who has the intelligence to be able to get us out of it. It's just whether or not they will or not is up to them. And that's a tough place to be. It's certainly a lot better than thinking we have someone who's incompetent and can't get it done. That's a worse place to be. But at least we have someone who can, and it's just a matter of if they will. In any event, that's my 2 cents. Tell me I'm totally wrong. Tell me I'm right. It doesn't matter. All we want to do is we want to encourage people to think, to challenge what's out there, and to go look. And it means don't just look at headlines. They're rarely accurate. Headlines are there for a reason, whether it is the full-on clickbait ones or whether it is just even if you're getting news from your CNBCs, your CNN, you have to remember you get on those shows to be an expert by just paying them. Like you can go on there. You get on there by advertising, by sponsorship deals, by public relations companies. So they're just there to pass along news. And a lot of journalism is just PR pieces written by a company that they just put up. And that's just it. Now, and I don't mean like there's blatant ones and they have to put this as paid advertising, but other ones as well. They just look and they get, a headline. They just go, okay, that's my article for the day. And that's just, an unfortunate state of the world and of news and the desire to want to be first, not accurate or true. And of course, there's bias on all sides. And our job is to try to, ride that middle ground I would say in most of life, you don't ride the middle ground. You stick to, integrity and you hold true to yourself. But when you're dealing with the world, with exceptionally opposing views, you have to hug that middle ground and go, listen, I might see the world this way. I might see mining this way. I might want all the money to go into mining and pull things out of the ground. But I also have to look and go, well, what about this person over here who's a stakeholder who's been maybe, their family's been taken advantage of for decades? We have to consider that they have to be treated right with respect, and you have to take things into account. And riding that middle ground, that middle of the fence, actually works when you're dealing with the large population, because you're not going to make everyone happy, but you have to get them closest to the middle, rather than just choosing a side and going all in. Not so good. Anyway, that's my lecture. That's my rant for the day. Covered a lot, and let me know your thoughts. We really appreciate all the feedback we get, whether right or wrong. Because once again, I'm just sharing kind of ideas and opinions out here, and I have the benefit of being in the mining sector for long enough now to see the challenges and to see what's out there and to see what the problems are, but also that there is a massive opportunity, and there really is. And what's interesting is to come from a Merrill Lynch, RBC, like very, staunch conservative type of place that are like bigger blue chip kind of companies that would have zero interest in any junior kind of markets at all, not only because of liquidity, but for plenty of reasons. But for someone like that, whose head is geared more towards that, to see that, yes, there still is. It doesn't mean it's happening tomorrow, but there is massive opportunity because the world is realizing how much metal you're going to need, how many of these minerals you're going to need, where are they coming from, and how are you getting them there? These are all coming to the surface very quickly, and more people are paying attention. And now is the time for Canada to strike and send out like basically investment teams, whether it's from the government or it's government related, to go, we're worth investing in. We are open for business. And if we did that, things would be good. Anyways, that's enough out of me. We'll talk to you on Friday. I hope everyone's doing well, and enjoy the supper.